dark chocolate rice cake. What's up, guys? It's a sunny day. I'm getting ready for the gym. Just had my rice cakes, my pre-workout. A little bit of a chocolate fix, but it's going to be burnt off in there. It's dark chocolate, so it's high sugars, low in fats. It's the kind of stuff I want just before a big workout like the one I'm about to do, which for me today is back day. But what I'm going to take you through today is my warm-up routine. Really important that you can keep your training regular, days, months, years, hopefully. And for that reason, this warm-up routine is really important. It's something I take all of my clients through, regardless of what workout we're about to do, because I want to know that their whole body has been mobilized, especially if you're training in the morning. Let's say I'm doing chest. I want to know that the joint that's responsible for actually moving my chest muscles through full flexion and extension are warm. So my shoulder needs to be as hot as my chest. If you're doing a bench press with good form, and I'll make a separate video on how to bench press with perfect form, but if you're bench pressing, your back needs to be engaged hard. The point is, regardless of what muscle you are targeting in today's workout, you should have a little warm-up routine that prepares your body. So the point of this warm-up routine is not to take up half your workout. It takes me 5 to 7 minutes through every joint, as many different movement pathways as I can. It's real simple, especially when you get into the routine of doing it. So don't leave this out. From there, you go to your first exercises and you do them with lightweight, high rep, to start flushing the muscle you're about to work with fresh blood, to get it nice and hot, to get it a little bit pumped, and to pre-fatigue it. Before you do all of that, I want you to do this. Right, so here we go, guys. I always like to start with a foam roller. You're not going to see perfect foam rolling technique. What you are going to see is me slowly massaging my muscles in my legs to encourage some fresh blood flow to those large muscle groups. If you do find any knots or any trigger points, it's a good idea just to roll through them a little bit slower. But the idea of this is not massage, it's dynamic movement through large muscle groups. Like I said, what we're trying to do here is mobilize your body through multiple ranges of movement and as many different muscle groups, or all of the muscle groups that we can. So what I've just done there is my quad on my, what would that be, my right leg, and my IT band on my right leg, before I move over to the glute on my right side. So once I've crossed my ankle over onto the opposite foot, I want to lean over onto my right glute and just move back and forth on the roller. Really, you do these for as many reps as you feel is necessary. I tend to go somewhere between 5 and 10 reps on every motion. So here I am doing the other side, just so you can see the other angle. Rolling the quad, I put my knee down on the floor next to me so I can kind of measure how much pressure I put through it initially, and once it's warmed up or softened up a little bit, then I try and get as much weight on it as I can, really, to stimulate blood flow to that area. There I am going on the IT band again. Like I said, this routine takes 5 to 7 minutes normally, when I'm not filming it, that is. And you get used to it. The more you do it, it doesn't take long, but it's good to get into the routine of just mobilizing your whole body. So after this glute rollout, I will have done my quads on both sides, my IT bands on both sides, and my glutes on both sides. But we move from here into a bit of a lat stretch. So what I'm doing is pushing my arm forward and my shoulder down towards the floor, just to try and lengthen my lats out a little bit. Really what you're trying to do with this whole routine is take your muscles and slowly stretch them, slowly warm them up. Imagine you left an elastic band outside all night, and when you got to it in the morning it was a bit crusty and dehydrated. Well, effectively your muscles can be similar. You dehydrate at night, and if you don't rehydrate correctly, by the time you come to train the next day, there's no fluid in the muscle, there's no nutrients in the muscle. So this is about stimulating all of that back into our muscle groups. So after stretching my lats long, I do a trunk twist to begin the kind of twisting warm-ups for my posture, rear delts, upper back rhomboids, and lower back. The foam roller is really just a useful guide for that. You don't have to use it. Okay, So now I'm onto the floor and I'm beginning my kind of twisting warm-ups. These are windscreen wipers and they're really there just to kind of warm up your core, abs, lower back, and a little bit of kind of glute med hip flexor work, but that's very, very kind of partial to this exercise, or secondary to this exercise. So afterwards I go into a hamstring kick and full windscreen wiper. Again, this is just the progression of the exercise I was doing before with the addition of that hamstring kick to start lengthening those long muscles down the back of my leg. So I've moved from that into a double-footed glute bridge and now a single-legged or single-footed glute bridge to warm up my glutes and hamstrings. A useful little tip is when you've pushed your hips up, just to pull your foot into the back of your shoe to keep your hamstring switched on. Now I move into, well, this is a lower back stretch if you hold your knees above your chest with your arms, and it's an ab exercise when repeated for reps like this. So it's a nice movement to have in there. Now here's my scorpion stretch. Again, you get a good stretch through your quads as you reach round like that. You get an awesome stretch in your lower back. And as you roll your shoulder into one long arm, you get a bit of a chest stretch as well. So it's a really great stretch to incorporate, especially before any back or deadlift day that you're about to do. So this is my plank step up and twist. Again, a twisting exercise to start warming up my postural muscles, start opening up my hips and warming up my hips. I get a calf stretch at the full extension back there. And now this version of it, stepping in inside my arms, is really going to help me focus on my rear hip flexibility. It's rear in this position, so my right hip. And you can see I'm raising my hips up and just dropping down gently into a stretch for a few reps. Back out and I'll repeat the same on the other side. So plank step up and twist, dropping my elbow down. Notice I'm not bouncing in and out of positions. I'm moving into the stretch position for that movement and then back out with control. Take your time moving through these exercises because it's a warm-up. Your muscles just aren't prepared for explosive or quick movement yet. So take your time, be patient, go through these properly. Always do a bodyweight squat or two, and this is something new I've been doing just for added dexterity through my hips and balance, which I lost a little bit there because I got distracted by something. But it's a nice little routine to go through to take you into a kind of sumoed foot position for a squat, really open your hips up and get you ready for large movements. Okay, this position's called the strider. In the front position with hands up, I'm getting a stretch in my chest and my hips, and in that back position, which I'm pushing to now, that's a great hamstring stretch as well. So get used to this little movement because it works from one side of you. So in this case, it'll be stretching my left hip in that position and my right hamstring there. So this strider to hamstring stretch is a great little exercise for you to be incorporating. Not one that I always use, but before a leg day, I like to chuck this one in, so I thought I'd show you guys. It gives you a great groin stretch, and as you push from that bottom position up to the top, you're really beginning to tell your body and teach your body to fire your hip flexors and your glutes properly. So I'm really squeezing my glutes on the way up through this position to let my body know that it needs to start sending some nutrients there and warming those muscle groups up. Now I go from there into just a final little routine where I do some child's pose and some spinal twists, or I've been told in yoga this is called sexy cat. So I do a bunch of these in each direction just to finish warming up my back and spine. It's so important that your core and your postural muscles are properly heated up before you start training, because they are really the structure of muscle that carries the load through your entire body. The last thing that I do is just, again, like a postural exercise where I sit up tall, twist and crunch down to opposite elbow and knee. It's just the final one that I do if I'm feeling like my back is a little bit tight. You can see it is generally tight. So there you go. Have a go at the stretch routine, get used to it, get into the habit.